All right, so welcome to today's training on campaign basics, on overall how to organize and structure your campaigns, and some basic and really updated bidding and optimization strategies. So even if you've been around for a while, I think this will help you out. There's so many different ways to do things. There's been so many changes recently, and we're going to kind of give you what's really the most important, so something you can use right now. So basically, we're going to be walking you through some campaign structure and basics of bidding. So and that's part of that is optimization also. So a couple things first. There's a thread in the Facebook group about a new dislike button. I don't know. I think I was just texting Ralph this morning about this. I think this might be a PR stunt with Facebook. I don't know. I haven't actually seen it myself in the news feed. I know there's a bunch of buzz going around about this. Feel free to chime in on that. Curious to see what you guys think on that. But I know Mark, there's an article he wrote recently talked about this as being something that wouldn't be good for the user experience. So I'm not sure what the deal is with that exactly. So I wouldn't stress about it too much. They are obviously trying to get better and better, improve as much as possible when it comes to getting user feedback. Okay. Negative feedback is a huge, it's a huge measurement when it comes to your relevance score, your cost per click, and the impressions that they give you. So super important there. Yeah, exactly. Andrea, the dislike button is not coming. I think Mark Zuckerberg is trying to create other buttons for expressing emotions. That makes sense. Exactly. Totally makes sense. So, one other quick thing I just wanted to throw out there is go out and get hotjar.com and put it and just install that code on your site. I know I've talked about Visual Website Optimizer in some of them in the advanced modules inside Facebook Ads University. And there's also a software called ClickTail, which is like $300 a month, and they do screen recordings of the mouse activity of users on your site. Well, Hotjar does the exact same thing, and it's $29 a month, I think. So that don't quote me 100% on that, but you get a free trial, and it's super cheap to use. And so basically, Hotjar is like heat maps, like Crazy Egg, Visual Website Optimizer, and then the recorded mouse scroll. So you get to watch literally screen recordings of individual users on your site, scrolling and seeing what they do. This is huge. So it's really easy to use. Go to hotjar.com, sign up for an account, and all you do is you put the code in the head of your site, site-wide, the same place that you put Google Analytics, the same place that you put your website custom audience code, okay, and just put it in there, and then you just create a a uh, a screen record, and then set up a page for your heat map, and then it'll just start doing it automatically. It'll start tracking all the pages on your site. It's really, really, really easy. So definitely go get that. When it comes to creating easy split testing, if you're not using something like Leadpages or ClickFunnels, I still recommend using Visual Website Optimizer. So you can just search for it or go to visualwebsiteoptimizer.com. And that is a better software for just creating split tests, creating changes on headlines. You can move images around. You can use a split URL test. So you can just put one URL in to your Facebook ad, and then inside Visual Website Optimizer, you can add another URL, and they will automatically rotate the traffic between the first URL, the main one, which is the one in your ad, and then the second URL that you have inside Visual Website Optimizer. Or you can just use their editor. It's really cool. You can actually go into their editor, and you can just literally change text and change images around, and the users will see different. They will see different elements on your page, even though you didn't go into your like WordPress and make any changes. So if you're using like Leadpages or like ClickFunnels or one of those tools, Unbounce, you can just do it right inside the platform. That's going to be much easier. So I just recommend doing that using their existing tools. Okay. So let's see here. Well, I still don't see Ralph on, so I'll kind of keep going through here. I want to make sure he didn't log in with the wrong email or anything like that. Nope. Okay, 1 second here. Okay. Just okay, so basically one thing I want to touch on first is Facebook campaign structure. Okay? Facebook campaign structure is really important to understand. So the way that they want you organizing it, and really the best way to organize your campaigns, except in certain situations, which I'll kind of touch on here, is the campaign level. Each campaign corresponds to a single advertising objective, okay? Like driving website traffic, like getting video views, like getting website clicks, getting page likes. Okay, so that's what that basically is going to correspond to that objective. Okay, so let's say you want to get more website conversions. So you might have a specific campaign with an ad going to, with a campaign driving traffic to a webinar. So you might title your campaign something related to that webinar. So maybe it's a 7-step webinar website conversions campaign. Okay, and then inside that campaign, you're going to have, and we're going to get in Facebook and look at some of this stuff too, so don't worry. But inside that campaign, you might have ad sets. So inside the ad set is where you're going to set your budget and where you're also going to define your targeting, placement, and bid settings. Now, I'm basically reading this off of this, but this is exactly right. Facebook did a good job in defining these. So when you want to have, let's say, a different target audience, say maybe you start out with let's say you start out with 5 different targeting groups. Okay. Those are all going to be 5 different ad sets because you want to be able to go into your reporting afterwards and see how each ad set did, what the cost per conversion was, okay, what the cost per click, et cetera, et cetera. But so the other thing that you want to utilize ad sets for are things like placement. So let's say you want to separate desktop traffic from mobile traffic. Well, you might have one ad set that's targeting Tony Robbins and is in mobile, and that's one ad set, and then another ad set's targeting Tony Robbins on desktop. Or a lot of times we'll combine desktop and right column because that's also kind of desktop newsfeed and right column. Okay, and it's just, if you wanted to, you could say I want a Tony Robbins mobile, Tony Robbins desktop newsfeed, Tony Robbins desktop right column. That could be 3 different ad sets, but we've found that that's overkill. It's just, you'll end up with too many ad sets and it's too hard to manage. So we usually combine the right column and the news feed for desktop. Now the cool thing is in your reporting, you can go into reporting and Facebook will separate that out. And even if it's in the same ad set. So let's say that you had one ad set and it was targeting Tony Robbins, and it was showing, and it was you combined all placements together. So you started out just broad. I want to target Tony Robbins, 25 to 55 years old, men and women. It's going to be in the newsfeed, desktop right column, and mobile newsfeed. They're all in one ad set. You only have one. You can go into reporting and tell reporting to separate out by placement. And what they'll do is they'll now show you how your desktop traffic's doing, your desktop newsfeed, your desktop right column, your mobile newsfeed, and you'll be able to see the different cost per conversion per placement. So that being said, usually one of the reasons why we like to at least separate out the two, have mobile separate from desktop and desktop right column, desktop newsfeed, is because a lot of times you're going to see a lot different results with mobile traffic compared to desktop traffic. You might get a lot more impressions on mobile. Usually you're going to get more impressions on mobile because there's just more available. Okay. There's more inventory. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. But so it's nice to have control. If they're all together in one ad set, you don't really have control over that. So you might find that mobile traffic is getting you much cheaper opt-ins. So you want to separate that out. So that being said, it's okay to start out with all together in one ad set if you're brand new. Just put all the placements together and then look at your reporting. And then maybe what you can do is you can duplicate that ad set and then separate it out then. Maybe you want to start out with all three together, desktop, newsfeed, right column, and mobile. And then after 3 or 4 days, you start looking and you're like, you know what, I want to separate out mobile. So let's duplicate that ad set, and then on the duplicate ad set that was created, we'll turn off desktop right column and desktop newsfeed. So it's going to be mobile only. So now in the original one, we'll just pause the mobile one. So now we have 2 ad sets, one that's desktop newsfeed right column and one that's mobile newsfeed. So I hope that wasn't too confusing, but it's just really important to understand. So now the ad level is where you'll normally want to test out different images, text, call to action buttons, basically creative. Okay, so this is where you're going to test out different images, different ad copy. Now, the one thing to understand is in a lot of cases, if you have too many ads in one ad set, Facebook will sometimes limit your impressions to like your top 2 or 3 ads. Even, let's say you have 8 ads inside one ad set and you're testing 4 different images and 4 different ad copy. And then what happens is you're like, whoa, what's going on here? 3 of my ads aren't getting any impressions. Well, Facebook just likes to do that. And it's because they suck, really. It's just one of those Facebook kind of things that's kind of a pain in the butt where they like to kind of optimize your campaigns. So down at the ad level, a lot of times you don't have as much control over your impressions. So what we recommend normally is not having too many ads in an ad set. So no more than 3 or 4 in ads in one ad set. Okay, a lot of times we'll just have like 2 ads. Now, does that mean that's always the case? No, I've seen it where like there's 6 ads in an ad set and they're all kind of getting impressions, so we're getting some pretty good data. But it's just weird. It's really hit or miss. So 1 second here, see if I can grab. There it is. So I'm looking through here, a couple questions on this. So yeah, there absolutely will be a replay here. Seemed like you used to say different campaign for each of the target audiences. Yeah, actually, that's how we used to do it a long time ago. Before Facebook rolled out ad sets, we used to use we would use that the campaign level for the different target audiences. Now, if at the end I can refer to a kind of a unique way of doing this. There is another way to do this. Carl, who's asked that question, if you already have a really good kind of idea of your I'll just hit on this right now. Now, especially for some of you guys that are advanced, let's say that you are in a position where you kind of know your like 7 or 8 core audiences, and you want to really test your images and ad copy fast and figure out what works fast. What you can do in that case is you can kind of maybe lump most of your best target audiences into one campaign, okay? Or maybe test out a couple different target audiences in different campaigns. And then you can use the ad set level maybe to test, let's say, 2 different ad copy. And then at the ad level, you can test 2 different images inside of those. So it's almost like you're simultaneously testing ad copy and images. What that can do is sometimes give you the ability to test creative faster. Okay. And the only reason why is because of that whole issue with Facebook, how it sucks because if you have too many ads inside an ad set, then they don't give you even impressions. At the ad set level, you have more control. So let's say I will have one campaign, it's got 8 interests in it, and I don't care about testing my interests. I just want to focus on my creative right now. What I could do is I could have like 4 different ad sets. Each one has a different image. And then each below that, each one has 2 different types of ad copy or vice versa. Okay. So does that make sense? That's like, it's in that case, you can almost test your ad copy and creative faster. So However, if you are like a lot of us, you're trying to figure out which audiences work best, which target audiences work. And in order to truly, to figure out what audiences work best, the best way to do that is to use your ad set to separate out your ad sets by target audiences and really figure that out. And we'll show you online exactly what I mean, because this is just kind of how Facebook works. And I'll show you the difference. Yeah, okay, cool. So I'm glad that helped. I think that helped a few of you guys. So, we'll show you guys what I mean. So, on this next slide here, I'll kind of touch on that a little bit. But first, actually, let's touch on that now. I'll go back to that slide because that question came up. It's a great question, and it's one of those things that Facebook could kind of really throw people off. So let's just talk about this. This is really important. So everybody always asks, what's the best target audience size? How many interests should I have? How large should I have? Okay, we talked about this on one of the recent podcasts. I think episode 8. Episode 8. But optimum, what we've found is about 400,000 to a million is a sweet spot for getting the best results with Facebook. Really being able to have large enough audiences to tap into Facebook's algorithm, okay, their optimized bidding algorithm, and then not having the audience too big so it's too broad. However, we've also seen kind of that 200,000 to 400,000 size audience size, of your ad set audience that can also work very well. Okay, you can't always get to 400,000 to a million, especially if you're in the beginning discovery phase. And this is very important right here. Okay, I call the discovery period. There's a discovery period which is much different than the optimization period. Okay, if you're new or if you're going into a new market and you don't know which audiences work best, you're going to be better off in the long run, probably, separating those ad sets into smaller audiences to really figure out what is working and what's not. Let me show you what I mean. So to learn which interests, behaviors, audiences are performing best, you must separate them into unique ad sets. Okay? So, however, to capitalize best on Facebook's optimized conversion-based bidding, larger audiences work better. So let me clarify. Let's say that you do your target audience research, which I've got a brand new updated video that I'll upload to the members area. I've got an entirely new course that I've recently recorded. We've got 18 videos. We're going to move it into the new members area, which we're super excited about. But I'll probably upload this target audience video today just so you guys can go through that one. But basically, let's say you go through your target audience research and you find that, you find about 8 of those kind of interests. Maybe you're in the business niche. Maybe it's like Tony Robbins, Brennan Burchard, Frank Kern. Let's say it's those audiences, kind of like the space that I'm in. And you have 8 audiences that you think are the best. Maybe it's a software or something like that. Okay. And if you're just starting out and you combine all 8 of those into one ad set, and let's say it's a million, let's say it's 950,000, and you start running ads, and then you start let's say you're driving traffic to a webinar and you're getting a $5 cost per lead. Okay, cool, you're doing good, you're excited. However, what if one of those interests, you've got 8 interests in one ad set, what if one of those is averaging $18 per lead and the rest of them are averaging like $2.80? One of those interests could be bringing the entire average up, or one of those interests could be bringing the entire average down, but you don't know what it is because they're all lumped together. So what I recommend, if you want to win long term, first of all, spend a very good amount of time doing your target audience research and filling up that target audience spreadsheet. Okay, and then you can start out separating out some of these ad sets into these audiences into different ad sets. So you might have an audience that's 20,000. You might have an audience that's 10,000. You might have an audience that's 50,000. You might have another one that's 500,000. And maybe you have a really large audience that's broad, that's like a 2 million, but you overlay it with one of your lookalike audience. So it's just one interest, but it's overlaid with one of your lookalike, custom audiences, and that's fine too, but it's separate, okay? It's separate and it's titled so you know what's going on. And then let's say you've been running traffic for a week or so, and then you can go in and look at your reporting, and now you can look and down into each ad set, each specific interest, each interest that might have an overlay with your lookalike audience, and you can see what the cost per click is, what the cost per website click, what the cost per lead is, whatever metrics that you're measuring, okay? And then you might say, okay, wow, these are my top 6. These 6 look like they're the best. Let's combine those 6 together and put them in one audience set or one ad set. Or let's combine those 6 together and overlay those with our lead lookalike audience. And now we can start having larger audiences and start really capitalizing on Facebook's optimized bidding. See, Facebook's optimized bidding is really, really smart. The more data they get, the more conversions that you get, if you're using, let's say, website conversions bidding, that just the more data that they get on those pixels, the better they are. The better they are, they're able to optimize your campaigns. And so, however, the bigger audience they have, the larger size they have, the bigger pool of people to tap into, the better. So you're going to be better off in the long run having large audiences, but you don't necessarily want to go straight there. Unless maybe you've done a really good job with your target audience research, and maybe you're short on time and you don't want to have 25 different ad sets starting out, and you're just like, you know what, I did a killer job of my audience research, I know my top 8, I'm going to put them all together and I'm just going to roll with it and save some time and stuff. So you can kind of do that too if that's your thing. So I hope that helps. Let's see here real quick on the screen and looking through some of these questions here. Yeah, so it looks like I think we got Ralph just came on now.
Hey,
Hey, how we doing?
awesome, dude. How you doing?
Good. So good timing. We're just about ready to hop into the ads manager and start looking at some of this stuff. Um, I've got one more slide to cover, and I told everybody you're in the middle of a flight. You're on a 2-hour layover on the way back from killer meeting you had yesterday at Facebook Ads headquarters. Okay, just we're 28 minutes in, so it's okay to take like a 30-second break. Just tell us how it was real quick.
In 30 seconds or less?
1 minute.
Yeah, hell's yeah, it was awesome. I mean, we basically got, well, us and Digital Marketer got like the highest level of touch from Facebook as far as being able to get help with not only our ad account, but obviously their ad account. We reapplied as an agency. We made 2 huge contacts there while we're there. And I mean, I think it's just a good thing overall, not only for us, but I think for everybody in the community here, because Facebook has just taken like a 180-degree turn, in my opinion, as far as how they treat advertisers. They went through the purge, and now they have come to realize that they really do have to reach out, especially to people who influence other people, on the medium. So that's why they reached out to Digital Marketer. That's why we're important here at Facebook Ads University, as well as us as an agency. So it was just a great meeting. Paraphrasing everything, I don't know if this is necessarily the miracle cure for everybody who has any sort of issues with Facebook right now with their ad account or anything like that. We'll kind of slowly work through that, but it was a big positive step, and I think it's sort of a sea change in how they sort of view advertisers in general and the advertising platform. They realize that they have to partner with people that can do a lot of the work for them and helping educate and making the thing killer and just keeping to improve it. So is that 30 seconds or 60 seconds?
Gave me some time to look through some of the questions too, so that was good. We got some good questions in there, and most of the questions that you guys have asked, the last few, we're gonna answer. Okay, especially the one about what's an overlay and stuff. I know I mentioned that a couple times. We're gonna show you exactly that in the audience, inside the audience builder. Okay, Ralph, and this is a real good recap for everyone too. Basically, what I've covered is I've explained the difference between
Hmm.
capitalizing on Facebook's optimized bidding, optimized, algorithm to optimize your campaigns. You're better off with larger audiences. Period. Okay.
Hmm.
However, you need to think about the discovery period as a different period, and in that case, you might want to separate things out to decide which audiences are giving you the best results. You might have one interest that's bringing your entire average up when it comes to your cost per lead. If they're all combined, you don't know which one that is. So
Hmm.
we usually recommend separating them out at the beginning. However, if you're short on time and you've done a killer job with your target audience research, you know that there's like 6 or 7 that are going to work. Go ahead and put them all together. You know what I mean? And so that's kind
Hmm.
of, I really explained that, and then and also just I skipped that and I talked about the whole organization of structure. So um, of
Right.
how the ad sets and ads work. So one other thing is, let's talk about campaign objectives, and I might let you touch on this one too a little bit because this
Hmm.
here is where it can be overwhelming if you're new. And basically, the list on the left is what the objective list is if you're using the Facebook Ads Manager, and the screenshot on the right where I've got clicks to website at the top. That's going to be what's your objective is going to show basically once you're running. You know what I mean? And that's what it looks like
Hmm.
inside the Power Editor. So
Right.
Facebook likes to confuse you in this case.
Yes, they
But
do.
yeah, so basically what that means is what they do in the ads manager is they use like the benefit that you want as the title because trying to make it easy for people that are brand new. So if you say, I want to boost my post, if you select boost your posts, that's going to end up being a page like objective campaign. So 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth one down on the right, that's going to end up being a page like campaign. Okay. If you choose, I'm sorry, I totally just messed that up. If you choose promote your page on the left there, the second one, um,
Right.
that's going to end up being a page like campaign. If you choose boost your posts, which is the first one on the list, that's where you're going to select a post that's already published on your Facebook page. Okay.
Hmm.
After that starts running, when you go and look at your reporting, that's going to end up being a page post engagement campaign, which is the fourth one down um, on the list. So a lot of times we talk about PPE, page post engagement, or we talk about using a clicks to website campaign. If you That's going to be the third one down on the left. If you use the ads manager, send people to your website. So it's a clicks to website campaign. But basically what you want to understand is on the right. That's the main list. Does that make sense, or does that confuse people even more?
Well,
Um,
I think they're trying to figure out the best way to interface with people on this, and I
yep.
think it does get really confusing. So this is in Ads Manager. Did you just take the screenshot today?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
because this is looks like this has actually changed just in the last couple of days.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean it depends on what your objective is. I think I don't know what you guys were talking about before I got on, but I mean if you're boosting a post from your page, obviously that defaults inside the Ads Manager to page post engagement. That's the objective I think we use the most for boosting ungated content. So, but Molly Pittman says she uses clicks to website,
Yep.
exclusively. But I've done testing that found like page post engagement just does better. But it all depends. So depends on what your objective is. I mean, the ones that we use really the most here are likes or promote your page, send people to your website, which is clicks to website, and then increase conversion. So those sort of middle three there after boost your post when you go into the ads manager, just to try and keep it simple.
Yeah.
So,
So boost your post is going to be where you're going to select one that's already posted on your page. Okay. And
mhm.
and if let's say you're on your Facebook page, um, let's just pull it up. So oops, let's say I'm on Dominate Web Media, and I want to boost a post that's on my page. Once I do that, of course it's loading nice and fast. Once I do that, that post inside, let's say I go back into my reporting, it's going to show as a PPE. it's going to show, let's go to create new campaign. Whoops, wrong one. Create new campaign. It's going to show as a page post engagement campaign. That's what the default objective is when you post a page on your business page and boost it, okay, which is the fastest way to get started, okay, which is we recommend doing this all the time. So let's say I want to boost this post right here, okay, and come on. I don't know why it's going this slow right now. It's on the right internet. Let's say I want to boost that post right there, and if I decide to boost this post, which we recommend doing, when you boost a post, it's a lot of times your ads will get approved quickly. Now, after you do that, your ad is going to now show up in your ads manager as a see this campaign right here, this one right here. Might plug in my little drawer here in a second, actually. So if you boost a post, it's going to show up and they're going to measure post engagements here. This is what they're going to measure. That's going to be like the main kind of default. Does that mean that you can't track lead costs and stuff like that? No, absolutely not. I mean, you can go into performance and you can adjust the performance and or adjust the columns and look at your cost per lead, your cost per click, cost per website click, all those things. But the default objective is page post engagement. And so Facebook's going to automatically measure the per engagement cost, which is a like, comment, or share. So if I boost this right now, 1 minute later, I can go in my ads manager and that's going to show up in here, which is cool because now you have like a campaign that you can duplicate and you have kind of a template. Does that make sense for kind of like the basics for that campaign objective? Hopefully. Let's see here. Now, let's talk about the campaign structure, the campaign organization stuff that I was talking about earlier in the webinar, and we'll kind of show which one has a lot of ad sets in it, Ralph, so we can kind of show that example. In this one, it has a ton of different
WCN1 does.
This one?
The one just below it? Yeah.
Okay. So remember back on the keynote when I talked about ad set is your kind of your target audience. That's how you organize your target audiences, right? And if you're in the discovery period, you want to have multiple audiences so you can start to find out which audiences are giving you which data, right? So in this situation, you have, let's go back to that. So in this case, this is the campaign name. So it's just naming it based on the, it's a stealth webinar, okay? And then the WCA is the objective, okay? Remember this sheet right here? Campaign. Each campaign corresponds to a single advertising objective. So in this case, it's website conversions is the objective in that campaign, okay? And this is just another way to, you can title it so we know which one it is. So if you click inside that campaign, these are ad sets. Now inside these ad sets, this is where you're going to separate out. This might be one target audience. This might be the same target audience, but maybe mobile only. Maybe this one's desktop newsfeed right column. Maybe this is, Frank Kern mobile. So if you want to separate mobile from desktop, you normally would use two different ad sets. Okay, unless, like I said, you put them all together at the beginning just to kind of see what happens. But notice how you have different ad sets that are different target audiences and different placements. Okay, that's what you have here. All these different target audiences, different placements, and that's how you're going to organize your ad set. Now, if you click into the ad set, you can, down at the ad level is where you're going to test different images, different ad copy. Okay, so boom. What I just did just now is I just clicked from the campaign to the ad set to the ad. And that's really how you organize your campaigns. And let's go back up to the ad set. If I want to go back up a level, you just click this link right here. If I click that, and let's say I want to look at the targeting in one of these. Let's say I want to look. I can go like hover over that pencil and I can click on edit ad set. And now I can look at targeting, bidding, all those types of things, right? Okay. And that's how I do that. Now that's how you're going to edit. That's sometimes people tough to find with the new ads manager layout, which is new and really in the last month or so. Um, so let's actually, I'm going to create an ad and kind of walk you through this from kind of start to finish and also answer that question about the layering and the overlay audience and stuff. I think it's going to be easiest to do it right from here. So
Hey Keith,
yeah.
can you show me the questions? I can't see the questions. Is that
Oh,
possible?
oh shoot. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
You're just a panelist in
that's all right.
AG. I didn't realize that. Um, okay.
And in that can totally like what Keith is saying is just the way to do it. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, we have a larger budget on this particular campaign here, but we'll usually start off with like one interest in each ad set. So that way we know whether or not that interest is actually a good interest. And when we were on that page about 20 seconds ago, you'll see that there were, only about 10 ad sets that were live, and there's about 30 that were paused, which means that those other 30 didn't work. Now, if you had lumped all those other 30 into one ad set, you'd never know which interest worked and which didn't. So that's why it's really important. I mean, way to go. So when you're trying to figure out what
Say that last part again. When I
interest,
switched you to organizer, I lost you when you said that's why it's really important to.
yeah, that's why it's really important to separate out your interests initially when you're starting a campaign. We tend to test interests inside a like campaign or maybe a content campaign, but we're also testing interests inside the website conversion campaign as well. So you see there's a ton of ad sets in there that are paused. So those are ones that didn't work. So if
And
you've got ad sets that aren't working, then just keep trying on small budgets and figure it out as you go along, which is exactly what we did here. So
and this is in the last 7 days. And what you can do is you can do things like you can
yep.
take this. If I wanted to, I could make this last 30 days or last 90 days, and then I could copy this URL and I could put it in a new tab, and I could and keep it at last 7, and then I can compare the last 7 in this tab to the last 30 in the tab next to that. And that's a good way to get a quick overview of your comparison of how you're doing. And like what Ralph was talking about, because of all the data, what's happened is starting to figure out not only which audiences work, but also starting to get more data on the lookalike audiences. And now you've got a campaign here that's generating a cost per registration of 71 cents compared to a lot of audiences that were averaging $14, $20, $25 per lead originally. Okay. Look at the difference in that just from spending time optimizing it and then also getting data on that pixel. In this case, you've got this is a pretty simple thing. It's just the problem is you have to have the data. So like if somebody's brand new, let's say you're listening right now and you want to target the same audience, you're not going to be able to get the same results as this because this one right here has all this data on this lookalike audience,
Mhm.
which well we can segue into explaining right now. But this one is targeting entrepreneurship, which is a massive audience. Look at that, 100 million people. Way too broad, right? But it's overlaid with
Yeah.
this lookalike audience that now has a lot of data on it, and it's getting good results. So, um, should we explain how that whole thing works?
Yeah, I mean, if you X out of that lookalike audience there is basically we've been running content to this campaign for a while. Like this is an ad account that unfortunately got disabled back in February, and then we ended up finding a way to kind of get it back. So we had an idea of what sort of audiences were going to work. So when we started this, we did content and like campaigns for I think the first month and a half. So we got a lot of visits to this customer's blog. So on that blog, we were capturing their user ID, so we created a website custom audience. So hopefully all these guys know what that is, but we can explain that. But it's basically anybody who visits, in this case, we had a website custom audience for anyone who visited his website. Anyone who clicked on any Facebook ad that I put in front of them, I realized that those people are potentially interested in what he has to offer.
So this one
So
here, this is not a lead lookalike, right? This is just a website custom audience. Um,
yeah, yep. And yeah, the website custom audience lookalike has I forget how many it has in it now, but it has thousands of data points and it has thousands of people have visited his site. Whereas for the webinar registration, there's hundreds. So this pixel, this website custom audience is more powerful because it has more data.
okay, this is very, very important. And actually, I have a presentation that I'll share with the group. I'll share in Facebook Ads University, and they talked about this exact strategy. And let's just go to audiences to show them explain exactly what we're talking about here. This is really, really important. So if you're inside audiences and you want to create a lookalike audience here, um, let's say I'm going to select the United States and Facebook. Let's say I want to do registrations. Okay. So if I want to do webinar registrations, all right, Facebook will create a lookalike audience based off those webinar registrations. And if I use US, it's going to always be 1.9 million. It used to be higher. They've lowered it now. It's a little bit more targeted. So if I do the lowest level, this is going to be 1.9 million people. If it's like 18 to over 65 men and women, and that they call that a 1% lookalike. It's 1% of the audience. If I go up one to what's going on here? There we go. It's not. There we go. To 3.8 million. That's going to be they'll call that a 2% lookalike. Okay, it's a bigger audience, but it's more broad. So what's going on here is that the big point to understand is the more data Facebook has, the better. So what Ralph is talking about how is, yes, we can create a lookalike audience based on leads, but there's a few hundred leads, right? Or we can also create a lookalike audience based on just website traffic, right? So let's say, I'm not sure which one it is, but um, maybe all visitors.
It's all visitors, yeah, because
Okay,
that's the
so
biggest one.
we can create a lookalike audience based off just website visitors. So you're probably thinking, why would I want to do that? I'd way rather create a lookalike audience based off of leads. Or if I've got customers, let's say I've got 500 customers or 1,000 customers, I'd way rather create a lookalike audience based off customers because those are better demographics, right? Those are better likes, interests, and behaviors. The reason why sometimes this can work, and this is also really encouraging for newbies, for people that haven't done a lot of traffic or haven't spent a lot of money, is because this website custom audience is just visitors only. But there's so much more data on that pixel that Facebook actually optimizes. It ends up being a better audience than the leads. I've seen this with other clients where we have a lookalike audience that's got like 28,000. It's a lead lookalike audience, so it's got like 28,000 leads on that pixel. And we have another audience that's got like 8,000 customers. So you'd think like the 8,000 customers would be a better lookalike audience, right? Well, no, it's not. The lead list is better because it's got 27,000. Okay.
Mhm.
And so like if you have, let's say, 500 leads, but you have 5,000 people that have visited your site just visitor only lookalike might end up being a better audience. Gosh, does that make sense? Hopefully it does, because it's the
It
big
is
thing.
confusing. Yeah,
It
it's
yeah.
confusing. But basically, if you look at it this way, the more data you give Facebook, the smarter the Facebook algorithm becomes, and the
Yep.
smarter, better targeted your ads become. So it's an outgrowth of the fact that the more money you spend, Facebook realizes the better advertiser you become. I mean, I don't think they do it in like a purely capitalistic sense, but I mean, I do think that that has something to do with it. So like if you've got a customer, like Keith said, if you had a customer list of 20,000 people, but you have a lead list of 100,000 people, that 100,000 person list is 5 times more powerful because there's 5 times more data that you can give to Facebook. So you upload that list, it makes a match of all those email addresses or phone numbers or whichever way you do it to everyone in their entire database, and then plucks out people that are similar to what they look like. And when you think about that, it's like absolutely amazing. It's because Facebook knows more about you and everybody on their site than probably the NSA does in the U.S. So it, it's just that powerful. So that's the reason why when we say this overlay, we
Let's
take
talk about
that
that right
look.
now. So let's
Yeah,
talk about the overlay a little bit so people can understand that, and the same thing. So let's change this to United States. Um, so let's say I want to a target entrepreneurship. I think it was a behavior, right? It's a big one.
yeah, yep, huge.
Maybe it's maybe it isn't here. Yeah, it's
Uh,
this one here. Okay. So let's say I want to target
okay.
entrepreneurship like that other one, and we've got 13 million people, right? That's way too big, right? So what we can do is we can say, hey, I want to target somebody that we can just start typing in lookalike, and it'll pull up different lookalike audiences. I want to target people who have similar likes, interests, and behaviors as people that have visited this page in the last 180 days. So remember this audience, it's 1.9 million, okay, on its own. Now I've got an audience size of 550,000, okay? So what that means is I'm targeting somebody that is inside this lookalike audience, okay? They have similar likes, interests, and behaviors of these visitors. Facebook is using 2,000 data points to create these audiences, okay? Changing, updating every day. And they also somehow like entrepreneurship. So if I X out of entrepreneurship, okay, notice it's 1.6 million. Okay, it's just in the U.S. only. It's basically showing 1.6 million. Now, like I said, let's say I want to target Tony Robbins, and Tony Robbins, and that lookalike. Now I got 210,000 people that like Tony Robbins and are in my lookalike audience. Now, let's say I want to use the other lookalike audience. Webinar registrations. So this is the same thing. In this case, you're targeting people that look like people that opted in, and also like Tony Robbins. In this case, 320,000. Which audience, which lookalike is better? We don't necessarily know. The more registrations we get, the better this list is going to get. Starting out, if we've only got 20 registrations, but we've got 1,500 visitors, that probably that website custom audience, that lookalike just based on visitors is better. So the point is just it's all about data. And Facebook talked about this in a recent webinar that we got invited to about a month ago, and I've got the presentation for that, and I can maybe bring that up at the end if we have some time. So that's called layering. That's layering. Go ahead.
So I split tested once we had about 700 registrations to this webinar. I created a lookalike audience, and then I split tested um, entrepreneurship. I think Brendan Burchard and like a bunch of other like large interests with the website custom audience lookalike versus the registrations lookalike. And the registrations lookalike overlay was the cost per lead was like 10 times higher. So I shut it off almost like after 48 hours. It was so bad. But the website custom audience lookalike overlay is the thing that's just driving this whole campaign right now. So you could recreate this whole campaign, but you wouldn't be able to because this data that we have inside this ad account is unique to this ad account. So what Facebook is doing is building a database for you unique to your ideal customer, which is just killer. So,
And on that, I'm going to show you something here. This is a video. This is the video I'm talking about. That I'll upload to the members area today. It's the target audience research demo. But this is when I was talking about this in this demo is one of these. What we found out in one of the campaigns is that after a while, this is a lead lookalike only campaign. There's no targeting at all in this one, and the cost per lead is 17 cents compared to everything else, which is like 31, 35, 40, which is still amazingly cheap. But in this case, it's this is a lookalike audience only. The rest of these audiences are different target interests, but are overlaid with a lookalike audience. The last two, now that we have so much data, are purely lookalike only. So what does that mean? It means that, like in this case, we would not be using Tony Robbins there or entrepreneurship or anything. The only audiences is this. So now we've got 1.9 million. Yes, and let's say maybe we are targeting 35 to, let's say 55 or 58. Let's say let's just say 55, and all men.
Mm.
So just lookalike only, 750,000. What's that? That's the sweet spot, right? That I talked about, 400,000 to a million. Now, in this campaign, I would not do this. We don't have enough data on this. I would guess, Ralph would probably guess the same, that it's not going to work. But once there's like
No. Yeah.
5,000, 10,000 registrations on here, we're talking about Facebook starts to get so smart that you can literally get to a point where you don't even need to use interest anymore.
Hmm. True.
It's
True. I think we're at that point with the website custom audience one. I just haven't tried it yet, but I would say at about, in my experience at least unless you have at least 1,000 data points on that pixel, I would not go solo without any overlay. So
right.
maybe explain that one, Keith, because I think that's people want to do it and they say, oh, it's a lookalike audience, so it must be the same thing as who,
Okay, no,
you know,
great
you can
point.
do this
So
for your fans.
so
So
I just showed that, right? And to kind of show you what the potential is and to get excited, but basically we hardly ever do that. I would say out of all the ad sets
mm,
we have with all of our clients, we've only got like 5 or 6 probably out of all of them that are just targeting only lookalike, no interest overlaying at all, no interest targeting, because there just isn't enough data. So, great point. I do not recommend doing this unless you're like in a local geo-targeted area. Then it's going to be a little bit different, lot smaller audience. It's easier to do that. So normally you're always
yep.
going to be best off targeting just the interests, um, and interest overlaid with these with lookalikes. And the other thing is we've noticed that when you start to target like, if you start to overlay like interests with income, I don't know. We just haven't had very good results with that either. The income
No,
overlays.
no.
Um,
I was all excited about it, but it's never really worked out as well. I mean, maybe somebody on the call has, but somebody actually said this is like and targeting. Yes, that's
yes.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And so they're in your lookalike audience. They like Tony Robbins, which Facebook doesn't have in their platform as of yet. You can get it in Ad Espresso, you can get it in Quaya, but in the Power Editor and the Ads Manager, it's not there yet. It's probably coming at some point, but that's basically what it is.
Now let's. We're already up on an hour. I want to touch on bidding, some basic bidding, um, how to, what objective to choose. Do you let Facebook do the bidding? How to optimize bidding? Let's touch on that, I think, and then that will be, I think what we've given is a lot of really important stuff that people can really use. Um, so which example? Do you
Sure.
want me to start with like a page post engagement campaign, then go to like a website conversions campaign, or what do you think? Or we're on a clicks
Yeah,
to
I mean, it kind
website
of depends
now.
on what.
Let's start with this one since we're already in it.
Yeah,
So let's say you're going to be budgeting. Let's say this particular ad set is going to be $10 a day, and you're going to be targeting, you know, Tony Robbins. Whoops. Oh, jeez. And overlaid with that with the webinar lookalike audience. Okay. Um, and we don't. But what we're talking about now is bidding. So in this case, let's say you have a fairly new campaign. If you don't have a lot of data on your conversion pixels, normally you're going to want to start out with clicks to website as the objective, which if you go back to here, that's going to be this one right here. Send people to your website. That's that objective. Clicks, notice that's the objective, clicks to website. Okay? Which the one we're in right now, that's what it is. Um, so let's say that, well, first of all, we recommend normally starting out with right here. What about this, Rob? You want to touch on these just to keep it simple for people?
yeah, these are all brand new. I'm not sure which is the best as of yet, because the one that you have highlighted versus the one at just below it,
Yeah,
I'm not actually sure yet, because that
I'm not
just
either.
appeared this week.
Yeah, no, totally. They're trying to give us
So
even more options, and what I would recommend doing is using this one starting out, because you
yeah,
still get to that's how they've always that's kind of been their default. You still get to choose the price you're willing to pay per link click here, even if you're using the pay
yeah,
per impression bidding. But if you want to split test these, you can. You just got to like separate them out by ad sets if you want to test out
true.
different bidding. So that's back to the campaign structure. If you do want to test out this compared to this, All you do is you duplicate the ad set. Everything stays the same except you change the bidding style. So, but starting out, we recommend using that and also using this here. And then what happens is Facebook will start to give you a price. And let's say that after 3 days or 2 days, you're paying, I don't know, let's say you're paying 60 cents per website click. Okay, not per click. Okay, notice how set the bid you're willing to pay per link click. So it's for click to your website. And let's say it's 60 cents. Let's say that's what you look at your reporting, you're in here and you're looking and you're like, okay, per website click is 60 cents. All right. Let's give them a good rule of thumb for bidding.
Yeah, that's a loaded question, but
Yeah, no.
I I tend to overbid and then sort of squeeze down. I think I posted inside the group a couple of times. I don't care quite as much about the cost per website click as much as I care about the cost per conversion.
Mm-hmm.
But as a general rule, you definitely want to get, if you set that price too low, like where your cursor is right there, I think if you delete out of there, it'll give you a range. It might give you a range. It's sort of, um, yeah, if you delete that out, yeah, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So, um, yeah, so what you would do is you would start with the top one, get more link clicks at the best price, and figure out what Facebook is willing to give you for a link click, or basically a click to your website. And then after about 3 days, about 72 hours or so, go in and look and see what that price is. Let's say that price is 57 cents. So what I would typically do is to get that link click or that cost per click to my website lower, is I would bid about 100% over
Right.
57 cents. So maybe go to like a buck 20, something like that. I usually do it in like round figures, and then go back in and check it. Check a couple of days later, and usually what you'll see is all of a sudden your clicks to your website are now down at 47 cents, and then you sort of chase it down by increments of percentages, which is probably an entire webinar unto itself, Keith. But
Right.
that's kind of how you do it. So you basically just try and push it down. At some point, you'll bid too low, and then Facebook will stop giving you your impressions, and that's what we call the point of no return. As soon as you hit the point of no return, then raise it back up to your last acceptable bid, and you should get impressions back. But that's how you can save money on how much a link click or a click to your website, or as digital marketer says, a cost per pixel is for you when you're running ads. So that's probably a little bit confusing, but there's a lot to it. I think just simply start out with get more link clicks at the best price, and see how you're doing as far as your overall costs go, what you can bear for your daily budgets, all that stuff.
So let's just go to website conversions and give the same example.
Sure.
And while that's, yeah, and then we'll do page post engagement too. And so they can understand that what they're actually bidding for, even if they're really still focusing on leads. So let's say your objective now is website conversions. Okay, you're going to keep the top one selected, and you might start off right here. If you want to set the amount of conversions worth to use starting out, that's totally fine. Just make sure it's high. Start out high. But you're going to be safe. You're going to get impressions if you start here. And let's say your cost per lead is coming in at $5. Then you might start this out at 10 or even 15 if you're looking at your reporting and it's at 5. So typically, like Ralph said, 100% higher. So twice whatever you're paying, or maybe 2 to 3 times, or 2 to 3 times what your goal is, if you decide to start out like right here, right off the bat. So there's no like rule like which one is the best. You know what I mean? The point is that in the end, you're going to be better off controlling the bid if you have the time, and keeping it higher. And then as it starts to come, let's say it comes in at, $4 or something like that, then you start to lower your bid increments down to 9, or let's say 9.50, 9.30, and you can start to lower it. So now let's say you're using, let's look at the one where you're actually in page post and nope, not that one. I think I might have clicked out of there, darn it. Let's pull it up real quick. if you're using the page post engagement objective, so let's say you boosted a post, but your goal, you boosted a post that's driving traffic to a webinar or a lead magnet or something like that, and you're using the page post engagement as the objective, you got to realize that the measurement, the thing that Facebook is measuring with their bidding is per page post engagement, per post engagement. So that's clicks, likes, comments, and shares, not clicks. Nice. So let's go back to let's go back here. See if this one works. Okay. So let's go into the PPE campaign. Come on. Seriously? Just try to reload.
So if this happens to you, everybody on the call, it happens to us all the time too.
Yeah.
This is typical.
Yep.
So
Typical.
it's even worse when you're flying at 30,000 feet, by the way. But still.
No. Let's do it in the Power Editor. So it's gonna be easy. We're in the Power Editor. All right. So let's say I'm in the Power Editor and I want to edit one of these. Whoops. Let's say I want to edit one of these, and I want to change the bidding. So let's just go here. Notice it's inactive. I can click this little pencil here. Okay. This pulls me into the editor here. Maybe that might not work either because it's all really acting up right now. Weird.
It's got another Facebook ads platform update.
Probably.
You're catching it right in the middle of it.
Yeah, you know what? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The point is if let's say your let's say page post engagement is the objective, like it is here. Here we go. Then notice that you're bidding per post engagement. That's what you're bidding for. So it's going to be a lower price. So if, let's say you're paying 17 cents per post engagement, then you might bid like 35 or 40 and then start to bring that down. Okay, even though your cost per website click might be 30 cents. But the point is the objective, you're bidding for the objective. All right. So when you're in your reporting over here, you're going to look at your, it's going to be showing you originally the per post engagement, but then you can use the customized columns to bring in your cost per website click and your cost per lead or cost per registration or cost per checkout. So that's just the thing to understand. So let's see here.
I think to simplify it, a lot of people have done really well on Facebook ads without ever doing much in the way of this kind of pricing or bidding optimization. Bree is one of them. I don't think she's done a whole lot. I see campaigns all the time where people they don't do any optimization. I was talking to Molly Pittman about it this week. She doesn't do any of this stuff. And their campaigns are hugely successful. Now, they also have Ryan Dice and Russ Henneberry doing a lot of their stuff on the back end and everything else that they've got going on. So I mean, there's stuff to be said about that. But the point is that for most of you guys out there, you don't have to worry too much about bidding optimization. Just let Facebook do it for you, and really focus on this is minutia in the grand scheme of things. Focus on your interests, your targeting, and your offer. And your lead magnet, the stuff that's going to get in front of your customer. This is like totally secondary.
This is
especially because Facebook's getting so freaking smart with this stuff now. It makes it easier for you. These are the things we do in the agency because we've got, we've got 7 years of experience in this platform. So I mean that's crazy, but it's the point is that just keep it simple and focus on the real important stuff, which I think in the first 20 minutes you went through a lot of that with the interest targeting and everything. So.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a great point, and why in this, in Facebook Ads University, we spend a lot of time focusing on user experience design and your offer and driving traffic to content, building goodwill, creating custom audiences, all that stuff. The people that are winning big are spending some time figuring out what their target audiences are creating high quality content, speaking in their authentic voice, so they're not getting a lot of negative feedback, and then getting data and letting Facebook do the work. It's all about your offer and having value, creating hitting people with different types of ads, using a video ad compared to combined with a link post ad, all those things. But I know a lot of people want you need to understand how this works, and so that's what today was really about, was so you understand how to kind of organize your campaigns and how the bidding works if you do want to go that deep. Like Ralph said, a lot of people just let Facebook pay for your bidding, because in the grand scheme of things, it ends up not being a huge deal, but sometimes it can make a big difference. So, just realize that. But it's all about having the right page that you're driving traffic to. So that's like
Yeah,
the number one factor. So,
totally, totally. It seems like we got a lot of questions here. I don't know how much time we have, but
um, let's see here. We don't have a lot of time. We got about 10 minutes. I think we can do questions for. Let's. Do you have a? What do you think? Have you picked a good one we can hit on first? No, like that one.
well, what I would definitely want to address is Greg's question. He said, I thought you guys never use daily budgets, you only use lifetime budgets. We use both now. I think if you're using website conversions as your objective, I think it's better to use lifetime budgets. But when you're managing, in this particular case, that Moon Corporation one, I mean, that's 50 to 70 ad sets. I just have to simplify it as much as possible. So I end up breaking it down to an individual daily budget. Now, when I find my killer interest, Greg, then I'll do something else. I'll do a scaling method that uses lifetime bidding, which, like I said, that's probably another webinar. But yeah, so you're right on. I mean, you've got a campaign that's humming. If you're using lifetime budgets, then go for it.
Right, exactly. And that's back to that same thing, you know what I mean? If you what stage are you in? Are you in the discovery phase, or are you in, if you figured out, if you got a lot of data on those pixels, so you can now use an audience really large, like at least 1 million people, then you can start to use lifetime. But lifetime budgets won't work with small audiences anyways. So you might as well use daily budgets. They'll work. You're not getting the benefit of the algorithm with lifetime budgets unless you have a big audience. So
Right, right.
Um,
What else here?
Maritza has a good question. So, do you recommend for a newbie to use Ad Espresso to be able to do the and targeting? Thanks. Yes, actually, I would definitely recommend, and we're going to be doing some stuff and probably some webinars on Ad Espresso coming up in the next couple months. No question. I can't even pull anything up. Well, at least I got it here. I got targeting here, but it's all messed up. Oh, it's not even pulling it up. So, oh yeah, it is. I thought maybe that was a Facebook glitch. So what she's talking about here is, well, let's say I want to target somebody who likes Tony Robbins, okay, and Brennan Burchard. So, for example, if you look at the target audience, oh geez,
Yeah,
Facebook's glitching right now. They're not showing it. Darn it.
yeah, refresh it.
Yeah, let's try that. If you want to target
Yeah, I
somebody,
think
explain that while I
why don't you do it? Why don't you reload it and I'll just explain it. Ad Espresso and Quire are both awesome. Um, I actually think that Ad Espresso is probably a little bit better right now because they've got some rules. They've got some things, like if you're scaling out big campaigns, they've got some ways for you to really keep tabs on your campaigns and not overspend. And I think their interface now is just the bomb. So we've got a couple of different accounts that we're using it on right now, and I really like it. So, but that's much more complex. Be careful that you make your audiences too narrow, though. But like a good example of the and type of targeting that you could do is like if you're saying you're selling some kind of sporting goods product, and you know that your avatar loves ESPN and they love basketball, huge interests. That's when you would probably want to use and, because you get that intersection between people who are interested in ESPN and interested in basketball.
exactly.
So sometimes, if you create an audience that's 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 people, it's just too small. It's too small. I mean, you can't really go much more than $10 a day, $20 a day, $30 a day with those types of audiences. Plus, you're competing against so many other advertisers in those small audiences that you may never get impressions. So
So,
go for the larger.
yep. And so let's say, for those of you who are wondering what that even means, if I target basketball, it's got 28 million people. If I add in ESPN, it went from 28 million up to 30 million. It didn't go up that much. It's funny. Um, but basically, I cannot target people who like ESPN and basketball in the ads manager yet. Now, Facebook is rolling this out very slowly. They're rolling this out. This eventually will be available inside the Power Editor first and eventually the ads manager. Right now, you still can't do it. The only way you can do like an and relation is if you do it if they're in separate sections. So if I want to target somebody who likes ESPN and also drives is in the market for or let's say drives a nice car, BMW, I can do that, right? So now it went from 28 million to 130,000. So, but if it's within the same interest category, it's only if they like either one. However, if you use something like Adespresso or Quia, and we do recommend Adespresso, you can do uh, layering. You can do where somebody likes ESPN and BMW. Um, and or not, I'm sorry, BMW is not an interest, but it could be an interest actually. But the point is
Yeah, it is.
it is an interest, yeah. But sorry, I was using the behaviors is actual real true data. They have a BMW, but um, if they like ESPN and basketball, that's my point. And instead of that audience getting bigger, it's going to get smaller. It's going to go probably from 28 million to 15 million because they like both of those. So you can do that inside Espresso right now. So Adespresso is also a great place to help, kind of optimize campaigns, and we'll get into that in some later webinars too. So
Should get Massimo on one of these
yes,
webinars. I
exactly.
mean, they've really improved a lot. Yeah, yeah. What other questions do you want to get here?
What does the minimum workable lookalike audience to start using? So that's a good question. She said, what's the minimum? I guess what she means by that is no matter what, your lookalike audience, depending on the country, is going to be it's 1.9 million minimum in the US. But what she means is like, should I create a lookalike audience after I have 100 leads or 100 visitors, or what's that minimum? I say you create a lookalike audience as soon as possible and at least start layering like somebody that likes something layered with your lookalike audience. So after you get, I'd say a couple hundred or less. I mean, sooner the better. Just realize that if you want to just only target a lookalike and not like layered, then it needs to be a lot, several thousand, I think.
Remember, you can create a lookalike audience of fans.
Yep.
Fans, let's say you got 50,000 fans. That would be a great lookalike audience. Say you've got 10,000 fans. It's a great lookalike audience, provided that you didn't buy them from, on Fiverr. But those are good lookalike audiences. Website custom audiences, if you're just running content straight to a blog post or just to your blog, very good website custom audiences because you can create those really pretty quickly. The $5 a day budget, that kind of thing. For conversion pixels for a lead or a sale, or even your lead list that you have from Aweber or from Infusionsoft or your customer list, I would try them all. But just keep in mind, the bigger those numbers are, the better. So you can create a lookalike off, I think, what is it now? Is it 100 conversions or 100 people that are on that list?
You gotta have at least 100. You can upload a list, an Excel spreadsheet. You can export a list. You can use website visitors, but it has to be at least 100 people. So to be able to do it, or you're getting an error. So
right. So in the case of that, that the campaign that Keith was showing there, we just happened on a combination of a lookalike audience overlay with entrepreneurship, and took the cost per registration from like $20 down to under $1. So that's how powerful it is, guys. It's like so powerful. Now we had built that audience up by sending ungated, sending traffic to ungated blog posts that were good, high quality. So the point is that you can use it as a really powerful technique, and it's totally worth it.
Yep. So we're gonna have to wrap up. I don't like to keep these longer than an hour and 15 minutes if I can. There's a question that's kind of a weird question, but can you get a different conversion pixel for each page, or do you need a separate account for each conversion pixel? I think I understand that. I think the answer is yes. I think. Let's go to pixels here. What? The heck did that just happen?
You'd probably want to do that with a website custom audience. I don't know what your objective is, Nick, but if it's, let's say you wanted to target only traffic that went to specific pages, you could create a website custom audience by just entering in the URL of that particular page or post or whatever it is on your site. And then if you're sending traffic to it from Facebook, that audience will build up, and then you can target them with specific offers.
Right. Yeah.
So,
But you can create different conversion pixels for anything you want. So, like
true.
like what I was talking about originally, if you wanted to create a lookalike audience based off a conversion pixel, you can use a key page view, and that could be just people hitting a certain blog post or landing page. But it's the same. That's similar, really, to doing you just using a custom audience. So that was. I'm not sure if that was the exact question actually, but cool. Okay, so I think you understood it. Good. All right, so I think we're gonna wrap it up. Great timing. Thanks for hopping on, Ralph. Appreciate it. Have a good second leg back home, and we will post this up in the members area soon. And like I said, the new trainings are going to be coming out. I've got a new membership that's built. It's actually on a different domain. Well, it's on Dominate Web Media /university instead of /members. So we're moving all the content over, but it's going to be organized in a much better way. So we're excited about that too. But I'll upload a couple of the training videos into the current one now that I think will be really useful. So I will.
Yeah, definitely. And you guys, if we didn't answer your questions, just post it in the Facebook group, and we'll be happy to answer it this week.
Yep, exactly. So, all right. Talk to y'all soon. Have a good week. Have a great weekend.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.